Hey, all right, week three. Hope everybody's doing all right. Now, listen, I know it's crazy me saying this because I know that we just started, but since this is a mini semester, the whole semester is only 8 weeks. We're in week three, which means we're over a quarter of the way done as far as the calendar goes. So, please, if you still feel lost, if you feel like you can't keep your head above water, reach out. Let me know if you need help with anything. Make a schedule, like write on a calendar. This is when I'm going to watch this lecture video. This is when I'm going to do this quiz. But if you're feeling lost, reach out and let me know, and I'll be glad to help however I can. All right. One more thing is you had your first exam last week. Now, I'm recording this. It's like Thursday morning, the day that the exam opened. So I don't know how anybody did. No one's taken the test yet. I don't know grades in the class or anything like that. But by the time you're watching this video, you've taken the exam and you know what your score was. If you did good, keep doing what you're doing. That's the good news, is that because this is so short, just bear down for 5 more weeks now and the semester will be over. But if you didn't do as good as you wanted to, it's a really good time right now to do like a quick self-evaluation, see what changes you need to make. So just a couple tips real quick. Number one, if you did not watch the lecture videos on the first exam and you didn't do as good as you wanted to, absolutely, number one priority, you need to start watching the lecture videos. I know you can like pull up the PowerPoints and just read those, but if you're not watching the lecture videos, you don't have anyone explaining the material to you. It's just like you on your own trying to read and learn it. The whole point of college is you've got an instructor, you've got a professor or an instructor or whatever to sit down or, meet with you if this was a traditional class and explain this is what this material means and here's some tips on how to learn it and all that. You need someone to help you with that. Now, we're not a traditional class, so the videos are kind of taking the place of that. So what I'm saying is if you're not watching the lecture videos, you're not getting the whole picture. You're just kind of on your own trying to learn this. Please watch those. Take notes. Send me questions after you're done watching them, and I'll be glad to help. That's the number one advice I can give you. Number two is make sure you're not waiting until the last second. If you started studying the day before the test or even 2 or 3 days before the test, that's not enough time to digest all this material. So try to make a schedule and right, for example, our next exam 2 is next Monday and Tuesday. Don't wait until this weekend to start studying and watching the lecture videos. Go ahead right now as soon as you see this and make a schedule. Say, I'm going to watch chapter 3. Like this video is going to be up by Saturday. If you want to watch chapter 3 over the weekend and then chapter 4 during the week and chapter 5 late in the week. Just spread it out. Don't sit down and try to digest that much material just in a day or two, because that's when things are going to start to get confusing. You don't have enough time to really learn it if you do that. All right. Okay. So lastly, if you still didn't do as good as you wanted to and you felt like I studied the best way I know how to, reach out to me. Call me during my office hours. Send me a Blackboard message. I'll be glad to help. I'll give you any tips or strategies or whatever I can do. We can talk about how you're studying and what changes you might want to make. All right? Okay, so this week, like I said, our next exam is next week. It's Monday and Tuesday, January the 30th and 31st. So you've got 3 chapters to watch this week. Like I mentioned just a second ago, do not try to watch all of these in one sitting. That's like your brain's going to explode. It's a lot of material. So make a schedule. Watch exam 3 early this week or like the weekend before the week starts. Chapter 3. Chapter 4, watch that like middle of the week. Chapter 5, watch that later in the week. And then that gives you the weekend or a few days before the test to kind of go over and study everything. Watch those. You will have a exam 2 review quiz. I'm going to keep that open until next week's exam is over. So you've got until Tuesday, January 31st. But I would go ahead, definitely do these review quizzes before the exam, and that way you'll have an idea of what to expect when you take the real test. Your second lab is going to be due this Sunday. So that is on cells, prokaryotic, and eukaryotic. Go ahead and start this early in the week if you want to, but I think life's going to be a lot easier if you will watch chapter 4 lecture video before you try to do this lab. That lecture and this lab go together really well, so you'll understand a lot more. You won't feel like you're just having to follow steps without knowing what you're doing if you'll watch chapter 4 before you do this lab. Good news is there's not any actual material for you to provide. It's going to be done on SI Cloud. You're going to have a bunch of microscope slides, pictures that are made for you already, and you're going to have different things to label You'll have a lot of review questions and things like that to do, but you don't actually have to provide any material for this week's lab. All right. So that it says it's recommended to give yourself 3 hours for that lab. So I would give myself at least that much time. And if you get done quicker than that, then good for you. But just as far as making sure you don't run out of time, set aside at least 3 hours to do that lab. All right. Finally, last thing is just a reminder, exam 2 is going to be next week, next Monday and Tuesday. So go ahead, be preparing for that. Remember, there's a study guide if you go to the Learning Materials tab. One more thing, this is next week, but we're going to have another discussion board assignment. So that's open now if you wanted to go ahead and do that. It's on cells. This one is really interesting to me because I know cells aren't the most exciting thing, but I heard a radio news story on NPR several years ago that just kind of stuck with me. So I've posted a link to that radio story. You can listen to it, like multitask, listen to it while you're doing your lab or whatever. But when you're done listening to that radio story, just like last time, you're going to leave a post yourself and you need to reply to at least one of those students. All right. So that's it for this week. Let me know if you need any help. Thanks.